Hey guys, and welcome to Petrol Ped. Now, since my Boxster has been sold and there's a big space in my garage downstairs, I've been spending a lot of time on Auto Trader and other car selling websites looking, searching, hunting for my dream 911. But this week, there just so happens to be a 911 parked in my garage. And I think it's safe to say it would be my dream, if not my ultimate 911. And I think it would probably be most of yours as well. Come on, I'll show you what's downstairs. Told you. So here is the Porsche 911 992 generation ST. Sadly, this car is way beyond my budget. I will get talking about pricing and spec very shortly. The only comfort I can take from this video is I now know that a 911 fits in my garage and fits through my garage doors. But I think we should take this car outside, talk through the details, and then take it for a drive, because honestly, this is one of the best driver's cars I have ever driven. It is simply sensational. Just look at it. Whoa, don't even know where to start with this car. Maybe the number plate, actually. Porsche GB have some really cool number plates on their press cars. 911 HUL is a really famous one, but that, A911, come on. Now, one of the things I feel most thankful for about having a job as a car YouTuber is that I get the opportunity to drive some incredible cars. But even with that in place, every now and again, a car will launch and I'll see it and I'll think the chances of me actually getting to experience that car are very slim. And that was certainly the case when I saw the ST come out. It's such a limited run car. It's such a special car. So to have this car for a week to experience and to share with you is really, truly special. And actually, I should have had it a couple of months ago. And luckily, now, looking back on it, it had a broken windscreen the week before, so I couldn't have the car. But I would have had it in a week where it was cold and wet and horrible. This week is pretty warm, the sun's out, and I can get those lovely Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres nice and up to temperature and truly experience the car at what it's designed to do. If you look back over the last 5 to 10 years, there have been some pretty special 911s hit the market that have been touted as the best 911 ever. I think back to probably something like the 911R. And then with the 992 generation, we had the GT3 and GT3 Touring, the best 911 ever. And they're exceptionally good cars. I've driven both of them. The GT3 RS, the ultimate embodiment of performance, I think, for the 992 generation. And I've driven that too. It's a spectacular thing. Big old wing on the back, pretty outlandish looks, but wow, is that thing fast. But this is classy and stylish. But it has the engine from the GT3 RS in the back. It has the trick double wishbone front suspension that we find in the GT3 and GT3 Touring. So it should be, I think this could well be one of the nicest spec'd press cars I've ever had. It's just beautiful. I put a picture on Instagram yesterday and the response has been overwhelmingly positive. When you come to the back, this is a movable rear spoiler, but it's got this little black lip on there and it just sets it off so beautifully. Gold lettering. but it's what's in the back. Now, unfortunately, with 911s, you can't really see the engine from above. You have to kind of go in at them from underneath. But in the back is the engine straight out of the GT3 RS, a 4-litre naturally aspirated flat six with 525 horsepower and 465 Newton meters of torque. But its party piece, just like we see in the GT3 RS, is it will rev all the way to 9,000 RPM. But what makes it really trick is the fact that not only has it got a lightweight clutch, but it's also got a single mass flywheel, and that means it's very revvy in nature. Now that has its benefits, but it also has its challenges, especially in slow speed maneuvering, but we'll come to that. But the engine, absolute tour de force. There's a lot of weight and soundproofing been removed from the car as well, so it just sounds mega. So I've just mentioned that there's lots of weight saving. Let's hit the most important number, 1,380 kilos wet. That's really light for a modern day car. And that comes about a number of things. There's carbon reinforced plastic, roof, bonnet, doors, and then these absolutely spectacular forged magnesium wheels with the center lock. And they look great from kind of that angle, but when you kind of look at them there, there's in that spoke, there's a big gap just there. They're just stunning, stunning things. And then the detailing, this sculpting here, this vein. And if you look at it from that angle, you can see down onto the top of the tyre. They're just beautiful. And as I mentioned, we've got Michelin Pilot Sport Cup 2 tyres. They're the NO OEM stamp tyres, so specifically designed for the 992 911. Amazing things. When you get these up to temperature, they just provide such an amount of confidence and grip, and the ride quality is excellent as well. I love the front of this car. These two little nostrils in this carbon bonnet are very special. Now, this car has the GT3 RS engine in the back, but unlike the GT3 RS, it still retains the frunk. Now, the 911, the practicality and usability is incredible, really. You can get so much stuff in the front of this car. However, the other trick the 911 has is it's got some room behind the passenger and driver's seat. Well, it has it, but there's a bit of a challenge when it comes to that. Behold the magnificence. Oh. I think the only way for me this car could be improved in terms of spec is if the exterior colour was oak green metallic but with the same tan interior. That would be, and maybe kind of gold bronze coloured wheels. Whoa, yeah, that'd be nice. Anyway, spectacular inside. First up, there's a plaque just here. Now, there's a limited number of these, 1,963, in reference to 1963 when the 911 was born. And unfortunately, you can't buy one unless you are a super special 911 customer. There's no way you're going to get one of these. They're quite expensive to buy list. This car as spec'd is over £250,000, about £255,000. You could go onto Auto Trader if you want and try and buy one on the used market, but a barely used one are going for big overs. High 300s, maybe even as much as 400, maybe £420,000. These are very, very sought after vehicles. So that kind of is what I said at the beginning, slightly out of budget. But let's talk through a few things. First things first, that. This gearbox is spectacular. However, I thought I'd demonstrate. This is actually a Porsche water bottle. It's actually designed to fit in that water bottle holder. But when you put a water bottle in there, it kind of gets in the way a little bit. You can actually change gear. You can kind of do that. But really, if you're on it, if you're driving hard, that is not an option. You really want the freedom. So that water bottle holder, drinks holder's a bit, you know, I remember the previous gen where they were there was a little bit better. Anyway, so that's that as a It's a bit of a demo. That manual box, the throw on it is so lovely. I mean, you're talking there maybe an inch from center to top. It's so short and so clunky. All I would say, it has a really heavy spring on it to return it to the middle. So if you're changing from, let's say, 5th to 6th, you do have to be quite firm and quite positive with your changes there. Couple that with the lightweight clutch, makes this car a real challenge to drive, but in a good way. We'll talk about that when we're out on the road. This interior, it's the Heritage interior. It's beautiful. It's a £15,000 option there or thereabouts, which is a little bit punchy. But these carbon seats are so comfortable and look amazing. But then the other seriously lovely option in this car is that carbon fibre roll cage. It looks spectacular. However, I can't really see the point in it. I see the point in it in something like a GT3 RS, or even in a GT3 where you're going to take it on track. This is more of a road car, a fast GT car, a touring car, and therefore I'd much rather not have the cage and have access to the back to use that back for storage. If I was going on a drive tour, I want more than that front. I know I've just said how much space there is in that front. There is, but you really want to get access to that. And with that cage in place, it makes putting stuff in there much, much more tricky. You're really limited to small, squashy bags. But that's, you know, the flip side of that is, my God, does it look good. I mean, it's like a matte carbon finish. Mega, absolutely mega thing. And then finally, steering wheel, very plain. There's no drive mode selector on the steering wheel, even though it's got the Sport Chrono clock. Now, normally when you spec Sport Chrono in a Porsche, that gives you the clock, but it also gives you the mode selector on the steering wheel. And the reason there's no mode selector on the steering wheel is there are no drive modes in this car. It just comes as it should be. It's in Sport, it's ready to go. You can turn on the exhaust valve to make it a little bit more noisy. You've got an auto blip function. You can use that, or you can heel and tow. We'll talk about that in a moment when we're out driving. And then there's a couple of buttons there, if you're feeling brave, to turn the ESC off or the ESC and traction control off. There's a firm button there for your suspension to firm the suspension up, and then a button there to do your nose lift. And that's about it, really. It's pretty devoid of buttons and devoid of complexity. And I really love that. But this car is all about driving. And what I love about this car is it's actually quite challenging to drive. And when you really go for it, when you find a nice piece of road, that challenge rewards you ultimately, because you're constantly looking for the best shift on the way up, the best shift with heel and toe on the way down. You're positioning the car on the road, the steering is pin sharp, the throttle response, that lightened flywheel just makes it really, really revvy. And that makes it the ultimate driver's car. Now, I'm actually going to start this review in the type of driving this car is least at home doing, and that is urban driving, slow speed driving. And there's a couple of reasons for that. And the first and perhaps most important one is the lightweight clutch that I've mentioned. It's quite delicate, and the driving technique that you need to incorporate is, well, it's the same as if you were driving a Carrera GT. And I know that's not particularly useful consumer advice, because most of us have driven a Carrera GT, but they had a pretty delicate clutch as well. But the idea is, at pull away, you basically, and it's actually quite good, I'm behind this very slow learner driver because it's perfect. At pull away like that, what you really want to do is engage the clutch all the way up to its biting point, just on the engine's tick over. Don't engage that much throttle at all. And once the clutch is fully bitten, then you can start to accelerate away. This car does have a launch control feature, but I won't be doing that in this video because it is quite delicate. Once you're underway and once you're driving at pace, it's really not an issue at all. But the slow speed stuff, you have to be careful. And this is a press car, it doesn't belong to me, and I'm still being super careful. If it was actually mine, then I'd be even more careful. When it's cold, and this isn't an issue just to this car, when it's cold and you're doing low speed maneuvering, this car has massive amounts of what I'm going to call Ackerman hop due to the front geometry, the Ackerman principle. Now that's all set up to make it go around corners really, really nicely and go down a road really, really quickly. But at slow speeds, it's really noticeable. And if it's cold, it's quite unpleasant. Now, my Boxster suffers from that. I remember driving the GT3 RS in a car park. The second I put some steering wheel lock on, it suffers from that. It's not pleasant. But the benefit you get, the other side of it, I guess, is that the car has beautiful steering and you go down the road really, really well. And then the final thing to mention is down to the Lighten single mass flywheel, the noises out the back of this car, it's not really a happy car when it's driving slowly. It reminds me a little bit is if you ever drive a car that has a sequential gearbox and the noises and the kind of rattles and bangs from the back of the car, well, you kind of get that with this. If I just, that's me pulling away nice and gently, it just isn't a happy bunny at slow speeds. It's quite a noisy car. And then the final thing, have I said final thing already? Maybe the final thing is the short ratios in the gearbox are fantastic. They give a huge amount of driver engagement, but what that tends to mean is that the engine's quite revvy and up in the rev range a lot. At motorway speeds, even in top 6th gear, you're still pulling quite a lot of RPM. So it is quite a noisy car, and with all the sound deadening removed, it's a noisy car. But I thought I'd get all of that bad news out the way first, especially if you are going to live with this car. It's not the most pleasant car to drive around at slow speeds in a built-up environment around traffic and traffic lights and roundabouts and manoeuvring in car parks. And I'm not even trying to think about the value of this car either, because that's just horrible. So that's all the boring roads done. Normally, I break myself in and do the gentle driving bit first. That's very hard to do in this car. It eggs you on from the very start, the first turn of the key, and it puts a massive smile on your face. Now let me talk you through a few things going on here. Let's just talk about this gearbox first, because it is delicious. The gear changes on the way up, if you get it right, they're silky smooth and so satisfying. You kind of forget, I drive lots and lots of auto cars nowadays. I don't drive that many manuals. I've got my Roadster, which is a manual. You kind of forget when you drive a really nice manual car, just how engaging they are, just how, it just gives you the best feeling ever. So on the way up, brilliant. As I said, you have to be a bit wary of the heavy spring, but you just make sure you make firm, positive movements through the gearbox and you'll be fine. On the way down, so you can select the auto blip function. One of my minor grumbles, by the way, is whenever you get in this car, you don't have to set the drive mode, I've mentioned that already, but you do want to turn the sports exhaust on, and you might want to set auto blip, and you have to do that every time you get in the car, and to do it you have to go into the touch screen. And I think it would have been nice to have those two things, because there's something you interact with every time you start the car, to have those two things on a physical button here somewhere. It would be much, much nicer. Minor grumble. But yes, you can just do it. So on the way down, I'm actually rev matching or heel and towing myself. The pedals are spaced perfectly for it. No great surprise there, really. Just so smooth on the way up. All I would say is the engine, because of that light and flywheel, is very revvy in nature, which is a really good thing. Now there's some horrible bumps and potholes and stuff on this road, and this car just floats over them in the softest suspension setting. But as I was saying, the engine revs so quickly, the rev matching does take some finessing. And it's a skill that I love doing when I'm driving a car, and I often get asked questions about it. All I would say is if you've never done it before, I would highly recommend you learning to do it, but maybe to start with, do it on your driveway when you're not going along. Wait until you're proficient at getting the brake and the throttle on the same, it's called heel and towing. It's not really, it's more like right side of the foot and left side of the foot-ing, really. You can kind of roll your heel over a little bit, but these are spaced nicely, so I've got the brake pedal on the left-hand side of my right foot and the throttle on the right-hand side, and you can just blip the throttle as you change down. But it does take a little bit of finessing to get it perfectly right. It's taken me a good couple of days of driving to really nail heel and towing. Now, if you don't want all of that faff, just put it into the auto blip and it'll do it for you, but you're missing out on half of the skill and the fun there. See, I didn't quite get that one right. It wasn't quite there when I lifted the clutch. That gearbox in tune with the engine. What I love about the slightly shorter ratios, I mentioned it's not great when you're cruising on the motorway, but that's not what this car's designed for. It's designed for a road like this, where you can really engage with the car at the ultimate level. And that's so special these days. Such a short ratio box. It's still right quality. I've got the dampers in the softer of the two settings. I've had it in that the whole time I've had the car, and honestly, it's fine. It's a firmly sprung car, but it deals with the bumps so well. I think the firmest setting would probably be reserved just for the silky smooth tarmac you either get on the continent in France or Spain, or if you were to track this car. I think if I was on a nice drive tour driving through the awesome roads in the Pyrenees, I'd probably have that set to firm. In the UK, soft all the way. I'm going to come down the Petrol Ped hill climb the opposite way. Again, just a little bit of a blip on the way down. Oh, it's just so bloody good, this car. Brakes, as you can imagine, absolutely stellar. Carbon ceramics, so that and the forged magnesium wheels really reduce unsprung mass. With a double wishbone suspension up front, it's just such a sharp car. And it just has the best driving dynamics, the sharpest turning, look at that, you can really, the second you input into the steering wheel, the car goes where you want it to go. It's just a magnificent thing. It's just such a sense of occasion, this car. But what I love most about it is it makes you think about the process of driving. Now, there is an argument to say that modern day cars, especially sports cars and supercars, are too fast for the public road. In fact, even you know, a family hot hatch like a Golf R is too quick for the public road. But a lot of them are so easy to drive quickly. I drove the Ferrari 296 GTS not that long ago, and that is a phenomenal car. It's so fast, but it's actually relatively easy to drive. The gearbox is flappy paddle, it's super easy, it's super slick. It's not really that difficult. The thing I love about this car is to extract the most out of it actually takes some skill and some thought. You're constantly thinking about what gear I'm in, but then just the mechanics, the process of swapping cogs yourself is a joyous thing. And I know a PDK gearbox in this car would be way quicker on a track for your ultimate lap record time, but that's not what this car is about. It's about a road like this where it opens up and it's a bit flowy, and you can truly enjoy the mechanics of driving, and you find yourself changing gear unnecessarily. Actually, you often think, oh, do I need to change down there? Ah, sod it, I'll change down anyway, because it's such a lovely thing to do. I've got a tight right coming up in a minute. I'll come down here, I'm currently in fourth, I'll go third. Ah yeah, second for this one, doesn't need to be second really. And then you come out, and then these tyres and this chassis have got so much grip, so much punch, you can just attack the road. But then if you back off in fourth, you're not actually going ridiculously quickly. Obviously, if you want to break the speed limit in this, knock yourself out, it's really easy, but just it's that connection with the car, it's that visceral feeling that's flowing through my body every single time I've got in this car. It's made me feel special, and that is just the essence for me of the thing I love most about driving. And when you get in a real driver's car, I mentioned at the beginning about driver's cars, and for me the real visceral driver's cars are things like a Caterham. You drive one of them, you're as connected as can possibly be to a car. Something like GR86 with a manual box, a Hyundai i20N with a manual box, a Mini with a manual box. There's a theme coming through here. But yeah, this is obviously a very expensive visceral driving experience, but by goodness me, is it a good one. The biggest challenge I have with this car, well, it's not the performance. The biggest challenge I have with this car is the standard 992 GT3. If you've got the Touring with the manual box, that for 95% of drivers is more than capable as a car. It's a phenomenal bit of kit. Yeah, you don't get the lightened flywheel and clutch, you don't get the short ratio box, but you could take it to someone like Litchfield. They do a tuning kit, a ST tuning kit. A good mate of mine, Alan from GT Tours, big shout out by the way, he's just taken his GT3 Touring there. It's transformed the car at a fraction of the price, and also you don't need to be a really super special customer to buy a 992 GT3 anymore. You can pick them up on the used market for reasonable money, out of my budget sadly. And I think that's the challenge. This car is without doubt, without question, the best driver's car I've ever driven. It's phenomenal. But is it that much more phenomenal than a standard GT3 Touring? That's a big question, and I don't know whether I have the answer to that, if I'm honest. But you gotta say, when Porsche decide to make the ultimate driver's car, they certainly know how to do it. I didn't need to change down to third there. I just did it for shits and giggles. That's 9,000 RPM, people. 9,000 RPM. See that? You see that downshift wasn't quite perfect. Must try harder. So, final impressions of the 911 ST. Oh man, I knew it was going to be good. I've spoken to so many people that have driven it. Joe raved about it on the podcast, rated it as his best car of 2024. I tell you now, people, it's probably going to be my best car of 2025 because it's absolutely mega. It's such a brilliant bit of kit. It's a lot of money. They're going for silly overs. But look at it. It's a beautiful looking car. It's understated. This heritage interior is an expensive option, but it's a great place to sit. And you can do that, 9,000 RPM. Oh, wow. Anyway, I'm going to take a chill pill now. I hope you enjoyed that. Let me know what you think of the 911 ST. I don't know whether it's come across on camera, but I'm a bit of a fan. I don't want to give it back. It goes back tomorrow. I might just have to put a few more tanks of fuel in it and drive the wheels off it because it's a magnificent car. How they keep making the 911 better and better and better, I've got no idea. Where they go from this, I've got no idea. But naturally aspirated, flat 6 at 9,000 RPM doesn't get any better in my book. So from the driver's seat of the 911 ST, I'll see you on the next film, guys. You take care. Drive safe.